Excuse me. Boy. Ah, jeez.
TV in Columbus said
Metro News Sports. Good morning. I'm Kyle Wiggs. WVU has secured a verbal commitment from quarterback Nico Marchiol for the class of 2022. Marchiol played for
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
Hello, I'm Chuck Reddick, Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service. We're working hard to get ready for tax filing season. You know who else is working hard? Identity thieves. Keep your computers and your mobile phones secure. Use antivirus software and strong passwords. Look out for email scams. Secure your home Wi-Fi with a password. Stay safe when you shop online. Look for HTTPS in the web address. See irs.gov for details.
With all of the stress and distractions of the last year, you may have neglected going to the dentist. Well, now is the time to make an appointment because delaying dental care can be detrimental for your oral health and your overall health. Dentists have always practiced stringent infection control standards, and over the last year, they've taken additional new precautions to ensure dental patients are protected. When you make your appointment, ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association. so you know that you are being treated by the very best. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. These ODA member dentists are bound by the highest ethical standards and have access to superior ongoing education, training, and resources. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Protecting you isn't just our job, it's our passion. If 2020 has proven anything, it's that anything can happen. You need to have the right partner to guide you through insurance pitfalls to make sure your business is adequately covered. From your property and equipment to your employees and your family, Glessner Wharton Andrews Insurance has the drive and the ability to keep you protected.
We can stop the spread of COVID with the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine has been researched and tested. The vaccine is safe and it works. All West Virginians age 12 and older can get a COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is free and it's available at clinics and pharmacies across West Virginia. Find a vaccine location near you. Visit vaccine.wv.gov today to get your free COVID-19 vaccine. Community immunity begins with you.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster, with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. A mix of clouds and sunshine, a daytime high near 69 degrees. You'll see mainly clear skies through the overnight with a low near 47. Sun and clouds mixing for your Wednesday with highs in the mid to upper 70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
The Valley is nearing a return to normal, and we're celebrating with the 100 days of summer. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
I say it all the time. I don't know what normal is, but I know I've had lunch out and I've been out to dinner twice, and I've got a number of things. Meetings are now being held in person. That bothers me. I enjoy the Zoom meetings. It was so nice, Biffy. You know, I sometimes have 2 or 3 meetings kind of in a row. And Monday nights, I have my planning commission meeting, followed immediately by a meeting at church. And it was so nice just to have them all right here. Now I got to actually physically drive to places. That's part of the new normal, return to normal that I'm not looking forward to. But boy, I do enjoy going out to eat. And it's really nice to be able to get out and do that. And I think this week, Biffy, I'm going to try a place that you've recommended. I haven't been there yet. Eden's.
You'll like it. It's good, and you'll be filled up.
Yeah, that's what I understand. Both of those is what I've heard. You get really good portions, and the food is very good. Eden's had just begun to open when the pandemic hit, and I hadn't had a chance to get over there. It's on Wheeling Island. That's owned by, among others, Alex Coogan. And I really wanted to get there, and I couldn't, and then the pandemic came. So the tentative plan with one of my friends is to have lunch there this week. So hopefully I'll get a chance to try that. I have such a long list, Biffy, of places I want to try now. That several that have opened up since the pandemic began. Places I haven't had a chance to try out. Coming up later on, we're going to talk about the NFL for a little bit. Got 2 NFL stories, one an NFL gay player. The other is an NFL player who refuses to be vaccinated and refuses to follow NFL protocol on vaccinations. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So set that aside. Hoppy Kirchville and I are going to talk about Joe Manchin again a little bit later on this morning as well. And I do want to, before we get to Tom Squitieri, I do want to, a slight, what's the word I'm looking for? Not retraction. Modification of a story that I shared with you yesterday. And as I told you when I did the story yesterday, I had not done any research on this, only know what I read in the newspaper, the Shelley Hansen story out of Bel Air, where a police officer is the subject of a civil suit on civil rights violations. The allegations are that Officer Grimm had approached a woman and offered to not arrest her in exchange for sex. And apparently, according to the allegations, it happened on more than one occasion, 4 separate times, I believe. And the story I had for you yesterday was that the officer had been fired. The morning intel today says the officer was not fired, but rather, according to Police Chief Dickie Flanagan and the village solicitor Michael Shaheen, the officer is placed on unpaid leave pending the outcome of an internal investigation. So the newspaper corrected that. I want to correct that as well because I was relying on their coverage and not criticizing him. I'm not. I was relying on their coverage to tell you that he'd been fired, and apparently he had not been fired. He has been placed on unpaid leave at the moment. I actually wondered about that. I think I may have said something out loud about it. It seemed to me jumping to firing right after the allegations become public seemed like a fast move. But at any rate, I do want to get corrections for that. It was not a firing. It was a suspension, unpaid leave until further investigations. The officer, the the village of Bel Air, and the police chief, I think, or maybe the police department, all have been are the subjects of the civil suit that has been filed. So we'll follow that story as it goes on, but I always want to make sure if there's a correction that I put it forward to you right away. 8:14 on the Watchdog Morning Show. Do we have Tom with us yet, Biffy?
Yeah, we have Tom.
Mr. Squitieri is here. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. And as Biff and I were saying, happy second day of summer, I guess. Welcome to summer's here.
Yeah, we are officially in summer. Yesterday was the first full day. The first day, I guess, was on Sunday, but first full day yesterday, second full day today. Today is day number 23 of the 100 days of summer. That's the way I count it. The 100 days from Labor Day to Memorial Day. The 100 days of summer.
Oh, I like that. Actually. That's much better. Yeah.
Yeah. I did not make that up. Back in the days when I was a rock and roll disc jockey, that was something we did at the radio station. The 100 days of summer, and I always thought it was kind of cool. So
let's keep it going then.
Yes,
exactly.
Just keep it going again. Hey, Tom, it's really been hard for me to follow the ins and outs of what's happening in the Senate. Are they going to take a vote today on the For the People Act, or a preliminary vote on the For the People Act, or not? Or can you tell?
Well, in response, let me say this. My last information on that, because I was checking, is that they are not going to take a vote today. That there's some kind of another procedural issue that's either kicking it back to committee or kicking it to the side for the time being. And I don't have a timetable on it because I got two different versions of what's going to happen next, and so I'm not comfortable with either of them. One is that it's only going to be delayed, the vote's going to be delayed a day or two in the Senate. That's the one version. And the other one is it's uncertain as to when there'll be a Senate vote. I haven't heard that there is not going to be a Senate vote, although Senator McConnell has, again, issued words suggesting he was going to block it. So that's my response.
And that's kind of, I was hoping you had more info than
sorry.
but I guess you don't.
No, sorry.
I've seen a couple of stories, even Howard, a couple of different.
I really think, Howard, that what you have and what I have is the information. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty, even among senators who are closely involved with that legislation, as to what's happening because of the variances going on. I apologize for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. I just, I'm looking at literally two separate stories here. One headlined, U.S. Senate will vote Tuesday on moving forward with the sweeping elections bill. And the other one, the Republicans poised to block the sweeping votes bill. And another one actually that says that the Democrats are likely to hold off on it. I guess Democrats are still not sure what they want to do. Still kind of sorting out Joe Manchin, right?
That's part of the issue. And, you were talking about the 100 days of summer. Well, we're already more than 100 days into the Biden administration, and that's a priority of the Democrats from the election last year, and they now have control in theory of all the two houses and the White House, so the three elements of the legislative branch and the executive branch. So I think that the Democrats are just very frustrated. Manchin has been the obvious roadblock to some things, but it's not just Manchin. I mean, or Kristen Sinema of Arizona. They're the two moderates but there's others in the party who they just can't seem to agree on what to do. I was thinking, I'm switching to the infrastructure bill for a moment, Howard, just to make a point, is the latest iteration of what I hear on that is there's a bipartisan bill that may succeed, and it's lower, and perhaps significantly lower than the president had sought. But you and I both know that compromise means just that you don't get what you want. And I tend to think that I go back to when President Obama was first elected. He had a similar control of the House and Democrats, at House and Senate and the White House. And he spent a lot of time on health care reform, which is imperative and is good. But he didn't do infrastructure first when he could have, because they were all trying to hit the home run as opposed to getting singles and doubles. I think probably what needs to happen both on the election bill and the infrastructure is for the Democrats to come up with what they want and just figure out a way to get it done and try to pick up a Republican here or there. They're not going to probably get him on election reform. It seems to be the Republican Party does not want to do all that because it's just obvious. The more people that vote seem to mean more votes for Democrats. It's not because of the groups necessarily, it's just because of the access given to more people. Democrats register Republicans in a lot of states. And so the Republicans are just doing it from a pure political perspective to block this. And the Democrats are flummoxed because they have disarray in their own ranks.
Yeah, I think, and the distinction between the two bills, the infrastructure bill and the election bill, is I don't think Republicans have, taken as a general rule, have the heart for any kind of election reform bill at a federal level. I mean, I just don't think that a compromise is likely. I do think that Republicans have an interest in an infrastructure bill, not the bill presented by Biden, but an infrastructure bill. And if they have an interest in it, then maybe there's room for compromise. So we may see something come out of that, but I don't think we'll see anything coming out of the election reform bill. And I think you made a good point, which we haven't talked much about on this show because we talk about Manchin so much just because he's our own senator. I think Manchin is a stalking horse for a lot of other Democrats who maybe aren't as happy with this bill as they should be as good Democrats, and they're letting Manchin take the heat.
I agree with you. I fully agree with you on that. I think I didn't think of the phrase stalking horse, but I agree with you. And this again, Kristen Sinema of Arizona has been out there as well, but Senator Manchin gets all the attention. Just think across the line in Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. He's a moderate Democrat in a lot of ways, and and there's other Democrats like Senator Casey who are more quote unquote liberal than Senator Manchin, but not particularly left-wing progressives, as some may suggest. So I think that Senator Manchin, while he's frustrating a lot of Democrats, he does serve as you said, the stalking horse for a lot of those positions that they want to see how they play out before they come on board one way or the other.
Kristen Sinema, by the way, wrote an op-ed piece for, I think it was the Washington Post this week, where, as Senator Manchin has done, she has reaffirmed her objection to eliminating the filibuster. I guess you'd call it her support for the filibuster. She does not want to get rid of it, and she simply it goes into detail about why, as with Senator Manchin talking about wanting bipartisanship and so on. I understand all the philosophy behind not wanting to change the filibuster, and I kind of philosophically agree with Senator Manchin that because it's a 50-50 Senate right now. It could easily flip to a Republican Senate in 2 years, easily flip to a Republican Senate. So, you have to remember you will be the minority someday. On the other hand, you're never going to get any of the major bills through right now because the Republicans are simply objecting, period, to anything that gets done. So,
that's the point. I also would think that even though we've seen the parties change over the centuries and the decades, and that's likely to happen again, I think that in the shorter term, meaning 20 years, I'm defining shorter term as 20 years, it's difficult for me to see the Republican Party changing much from where it is today. And so your choice as a Democrat is to try to get stuff done now, as you say, in this window when you have the opportunity, realizing that no matter what you do on the filibuster doesn't preclude what Republicans will do if they take control of the Senate and or the House or both. So, thinking, well, if we do this now, they'll be able to do this when they're in power. They may do it anyway when they're in power, regardless of what you do. I'm not just speaking about the filibuster. I think that's the point where you need to take that into consideration as well. I'm not saying the end justifies the means or anything. I'm just saying I've just been covering politics a long time, and that's how I see the trend. And I'm talking about a 20-year trend, and I'm just talking about an election cycle trend of 2 to 4 years.
Talking this morning with Tom Squitieri, our national correspondent here on the Watchdog Morning Show. It's 8:24, 56 degrees. Tom, this was asked of me several times this week, and I think I have an answer, but I'm not sure if you would concur with me, so I'll see what you think. Are we on the verge of one of the two parties or both seeing a break off into a third party of some kind?
I don't think that, and you may not know this about my political coverage past, but I was actually, and this is just for a point of reference, I really wrote a lot about third parties and independent candidates in the 90s and early, around the Gore-Bush election, that type of thing. And I know them pretty well and the trend of that. And there's always, Howard, you'll see a poll from people who are dissatisfied with candidates. Would you support a third-party candidate? 30% of people say yes, or some very high number, and everybody gets all excited. The reality is it rarely happens. I mean, Ralph Nader got significant support. Obviously, Ross Perot did. There are individual candidates that will get support in an election, but that doesn't sustain over the top. The Libertarian Party, which, I have a lot of respect for because they're on the ballot in almost all 50 states and sometimes all 50 states in D.C., they regularly poll, 3 to 4%, and there'll be an election that's close, and they'll say, you see, we made the difference. Well, that's not really true, because unless a party starts getting about 4 or 5% of the vote, it means that the people who are voting for a third-party candidate are those who are not going to vote for a Democrat or Republican, regardless of who those candidates are. They're the voters that you're not quote-unquote losing. They're already lost. It's somebody like Perot or Nader who gets, higher than 5%. Perot, of course, got 19% in the first time he ran for president. So those are individuals. To establish a third party outside of a state, and make the distinction, is very difficult. First of all, the two parties, they may argue with each other on everything, but they agree on keeping the club closed, okay? Ballot access in states is amazingly difficult for third parties and independent candidates to achieve. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, and there's multiple roadblocks. We've talked about voter, ability to vote in elections. This voter ballot access has been a long issue that's being ignored by people because it's boring and it's complicated because there's 51 different regulations. Now, your state had the Mountain Party for a long time. It still may have it. I'm sorry, I don't know. That's
it still exists, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one gentleman ran for governor in the Constitution Party in that state. That's different because individuals can run on. For years, New York State had the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, and now it has the Right to Work Party. Those parties get on the ballot and they can cross-endorse, which helps them survive. But that's in New York State, and it's not replicated in a lot of states. Vermont, where Bernie Sanders came from, they have the couple states, the Progressive Party and all that. You see, I'm spilling out my knowledge here. But for a third party to emerge, you would really need to have something that happened akin to when the Republican Party was created before the Civil War, where you had the complete demise of what was the other party at the time, as well as smaller parties, and they all kind of got together and formed the Republican Party. And then they had the benefit of Abraham Lincoln winning, and that sort of helped secure the party. Pundits who like to dabble and talk, as I do, about third parties, think that the last opportunity we had on a national level was either Perot with the Reform Party, but he never really built that party. It was more around him. Or in 2000 had John McCain taken the Reform Party nomination, which still was getting federal funds, and run against Gore and Bush and see what happens then. That's a long response to your question, but I think it's important that as the Republican Party perhaps becomes the Trump Party, and those unhappy members of the Republican Party talk about breaking off, the reality is that they face a long road ahead to establish a third party in the way our democracy is set up. It's not a parliamentary system.
I think you really hit the nail on the head. People say they would support a third party, and I don't know how many actually would. They would support from time to time and have an independent candidate or a candidate outside the two parties, but that's very different than actually having a third party. I had thought a few years back that the Republican Party might spin off what I called the Looney Tunes. The conspiracy, really far radically right. I thought maybe that group would spin off of the traditional Republican Party. But what I did not see at that time was that the Trump side of things would take control of the party and would become the Republican Party. I don't see that happening anymore. Democrats have always had internal fighting, between the moderates and the progressives and a number of different things. But I don't see the Democratic Party spinning anyone off either. So it's fun conversation, I guess, for people. And I would not be surprised at any moment, anywhere along the way, to see a person run as an independent candidate. I have no suggestion of who it might be, on what party or what have you, but I could see a candidate, but that's very different than a party.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Tom, I want to get a story out of the Pentagon out of you, because this is an interesting one. The suicide rate for the military is really rising. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, this is a really sad story and shocking. There's an excellent outfit called the Cost of War Project at Brown University. They have done incredible work, Howard, on all aspects of the cost of war, okay? I mean, they'll tell you what the real cost of the Afghan conflict is in terms of, money spent on veterans care and as well as just bullets type of thing. So it's cost of war at the Watson Institute of Brown University. I want to give them full credit. And they studied, suicide rate of veterans and active duty personnel after 9/11. 4 times as many people die of suicide than those in combat. Think of that, Howard. 4 times as many.
That's right.
So they estimated that 30,177 soldiers, military personnel, have died by suicide, as compared with 7,057 killed in post 9/11 wars. It's increasing rates of suicide for veterans and active duty personnel. And here's the other thing that's startling and dangerous. They're outpacing the rate of the general population. And as they put it, these are not my words, that's an alarming shift, because usually suicide rates among service members have been historically lower than suicide rates in the general population. The reasons why would not surprise people, will not surprise people. Multiple factors, including repeated deployments, continued high exposure to trauma and stress and culture, the ease of guns, of course, and then the difficulty of sort of getting back into civilian life, which has always been a challenge for war veterans, for a long time. Here's the other irony, and because of the ability to keep people alive on the battlefield, these individuals survive, and they have these physical traumas and pain and lasting wounds as well, which it's just a mess. It's just a confluence of all these challenges for these service personnel. But it's really sad, of course. That's an understatement, and it's a challenge in what to do. And part of it goes back to the fact, really, of multiple deployments, and there's such a small group of our volunteer military now. And it's like 1 or 2% of the population at most. And that's a very limited pool to continually deploy to war zones.
is the military, I mean, they're obviously aware of this. Are there thoughts from the Pentagon of what, if anything, needs to be done to deal with this? I mean, has it reached the level where there's people discussing, we got to do something about this?
That's a good question. This report came out, yesterday, and so we haven't officially asked anybody at the briefings yet on that. This issue of suicides have come up before because it's different reports have come out not as thorough as this one, and the military takes it seriously, and they're a little flummoxed about it. The challenges. I was thinking about this over the weekend. The challenges faced by the military today, more of its enemies are these kind of things than almost our adversaries abroad, and this is a major one. And they acknowledge and they know that stress is continued because of mostly because of the repeated deployments. Some individuals have been deployed, 3 or 4 times to both Afghanistan and or Iraq. That's a lot in 20 years, And this is the deployment to a war zone itself, along with the accompanying upheaval if you're married, have a family, or whatever. They know this, and they try to deal with it as much as possible through counseling and other means to try to mitigate it, and health care, but it's just not enough.
All right, Tom, I appreciate your time as always, and your informed information. That's a redundancy. Your informed analysis. I appreciate it as always. And
thanks, Howard. You have a wonderful day.
You too. We'll do it again next week. Thanks a lot, Tom. Appreciate it. Our national correspondent is Tom Squitieri with us every Tuesday. We just kind of recap some of the key stories, and we always hit the political stuff. But I'd like to get some of this stuff out of the Pentagon because Tom, on a regular basis, covers the Pentagon. That's where he's based. As he explained to you, he's worked for multiple news organizations over the years, from the major organizations, the USA Today and so on, to smaller groups. And he shares some of his insight with us every Tuesday, here on the Watchdog Morning Show, where it's 8:35, 25 before the hour. Let me double check. Has our temperature changed much? Give me a quick moment to take a look at that. No, 56 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 57 and cloudy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, and 58 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. We will check some headlines for you here from the Big Seven. Got a little bit of sports to delve into. Biffy, we have some tickets to give away today, right?
Yes, for the Washington Wild Things game tomorrow night against Florence.
I think it's a family 4-pack, so if you'd like to go to the Washington Wild Things game, we'll give you a chance to win those tickets coming up in just a little bit as well, here on the Watchdog Morning Show. But first, let's check some headlines.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time.
voice be heard. This is Big Rick, your host of Real Big Talk, weekdays from 2 to 5 on the Watchdog. Just because my name is on the show, that doesn't mean that this show doesn't belong to you too. Lola and I can drive the bus, but you can jump on and join in. Breaking stories, local, statewide, national, and around the world discussed right here on the Watchdog. 304-214-1600. Real Big Talk with me, Big Rick, weekdays from 2 to 5 on the Watchdog.
Metro News Sports, good morning. I'm Kyle Wiggs. WVU has secured a verbal commitment from quarterback Nico Marchiol for the class of 2022. Marchiol played for Hamilton High School in Chandler, Arizona this past fall. He recently earned a 4-star grade from Scout. He's listed among the top 250 players in the country by ESPN. He visited WVU in early June, Arizona State and Michigan State were Marchiol's other two finalists. He had also received interest from dozens of schools, including Florida, Michigan, Louisville, Florida State, LSU, and Penn State. More at WVMetroNews.com. The WVSSAC State Softball Tournament begins play at the new South Charleston home for the softball tournament. Little Creek Park in South Charleston will host the tournament. And again, weather permitting, the game scheduled to start this morning. St. Albans against John Marshall, then Washington against Cabell Midland in AAA, Oakland Independence, Herbert Hoover against Sissonville in AA, Ritchie County against Midland Trail, Petersburg against Wahama in Single A. West Virginia and Heard That have been drawn into the same half of the bracket of the West Virginia Regional for TBT, the basketball tournament, coming to Charleston this summer. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. Major League Baseball, Minnesota beat the Reds 7-5 on Monday night. Houston over Baltimore 10-2. The Pirates were off. They'll take on the White Sox tonight. College World Series. North Carolina State 1, Vanderbilt 0. Stanford beat Arizona 14-5. Arizona is the first team eliminated from the tournament. Texas plays Tennessee in an elimination game today. NHL playoffs, Tampa Bay 8, the Islanders 0. From the Metro News Sports Desk, I'm Kyle Wiggs.
Menards has Sylvania's new True Wave Natural Spectrum LED bulbs. They offer the best in lighting technology and bring out the positive feelings of happiness, relaxation, and warmth while reducing eye strain and improving.
Go to cdc.gov/vaccines or call 800-CDC-INFO. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
New Belgium Fat Tire Amber Ale is now available in West Virginia and distributed locally by wine and beverage merchants. With its toasty and biscuit-like malt flavors blended perfectly with hoppy freshness, it's bound to become one of your new favorite craft beers. Fat Tire Amber Ale is now available at local retailers. Please don't drink and drive and drink responsibly. From your friends at Wine and Beverage Merchants.
Does your dog need groomed or walked? Are you looking for a pet sitter or dog boarding options? If so, call Dirty Paws, Wheeling's newest pet care service, providing the Ohio Valley with everyone's pet care needs. Check us out on Facebook at Dirty Paws WHG or call 304-639-7754.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
We can stop the spread of COVID with the COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine has been researched and tested. The vaccine is safe, and it works. All West Virginians age 12 and older can get a COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine is free, and it's available at clinics and pharmacies across West Virginia. Find a vaccine location near you. Visit vaccine.wv.gov today to get your free COVID-19 vaccine. Community immunity begins with you.
Clearview. The Watchdog is protecting your yard. Join Howard Monroe, Hoppy Kercheval, Bill DeFabio, and Big Rick for the best live and local talk in the Upper Ohio Valley and beyond. Clearview trusts the Watchdog.
Miss a part of the show? Want to hear a segment again? Check out our podcast page at watchdognetwork.com. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
It's still 56 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and it's 57 degrees and cloudy here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. 58 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Coming up today on Statewide Talkline, I'm really looking forward to this interview. Hoppy's going to be talking to Bishop Brennan from the Diocese of Wheeling-Charleston about the subject of the communion and President Biden. I think, and maybe you can help me with this, Biff, I think it's the American Council of Bishops that had sent out I don't know what you call it, an order that Biden was not to receive communion because of his support for abortion. I think I have it right. I think it was the American Council of Bishops. And if I'm wrong about who it was, please accept my apologies for that. But the issue is he supports abortion, so he should not be allowed to take communion. And I don't fully understand that. Now, I'm not Catholic, and that's why I'm curious to see what Bishop Brennan has to say about it. I posted a Facebook meme yesterday, which is more in line with my concept of communion. The person who posted it goes by the name of Reverend Daniel. He says, I don't understand withholding communion. It's not a prize for the best performance. It's not a gold star for top marks. It's grace, and we're not the ones giving it. But what if someone unworthy receives it? And he says, that would be everybody. I mean, I may not understand the full theological implications of the Catholic Eucharist, Biff, but my understanding of communion is it is the meal that Jesus had before he was crucified, and it is a symbol of the grace that he gives us and basically pardons our sins. And I don't get how, I don't get the withholding communion. But does that make, I'm serious question. Help me with this from a Catholic point of view. Can anybody take communion?
I don't think I think there were certain. See, I thought there were certain rules that people that people had to take to actually take communion, but I'm not sure because I've never seen. It's rare that you see someone, in a position like the president is to refuse communion. So I don't know. I don't know completely because this is just something that's, I've never, actually, I don't think I've seen it actually happen. I've heard about it, that they can, you can be refused communion, but I've actually never seen it happen.
And again, I don't want to intrude on some other denomination's doctrine. There may be doctrinal reasons that the Catholic Church does not give communion. My perception of communion is it is the giving of the grace of God, and everybody is entitled to it because we're all sinners. But that's me. I'm not a Catholic, so I don't fully maybe comprehend what's happening here, which is why I'm really interested in hearing what Bishop Brennan has to say. He'll be talking about this today on a statewide talk line with Hoppy Kercheval. So I'll be interested to tune in and to see what it is that he has to say. It's a dozen before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Speaking of church, I want to talk about my church just for a second. We are holding an auction coming up July the 5th. It's going to be an online auction for COVID reasons, obviously. It's to benefit the Woodsdale Schools Weekend Food Program. And it's being conducted by our good friends, Shane Stack and Jim Frio, the Frio and Stack Auction House. All the items have been donated by members and friends of Vance Church. And I am told, and actually I was at the church on Monday, and a lot of our elders were going to go down and take a look at all the items that were there. I didn't. But I'm told it's a really good group of auction items that people will really want it. I'm told there are several very, I don't use the word expensive, but valuable, very valuable items that are there. Some of the items include a 1900 gold coin. There's some Fiesta ware and Longa Burger baskets. I always have a hard time with that one. Longa Burger baskets. I think I got it right. Longa Burger baskets. Okay. Musical instruments, furniture, a lot of antiques. And some of the antiques are coming from one of the closed antique stores at Center Market. These are some pretty high-end stuff. So the auction is set for July the 5th, and it's an online auction only. You can take a look at all of this stuff by going to frioandstack.com, and I believe all the information is there. I assume all the pictures are there, or will be soon if they're not there already. And again, it's an auction on behalf of Vance Church. Jim and Shane are kindly donating their services, and we certainly appreciate that in advance. And then all proceeds go to the Woodsdale School Weekend Food Program. So if you're interested in some good stuff, I'm told it's really good stuff. I should have looked at it this week when I didn't. But please feel free don't feel free to stop by the church. I will say that, and then somebody will come in and they'll want to look, and then Pastor Erica will call me and go, "What did you say? Who told you to send people to the church?" So don't go to the church, but check it out online at frioandstackauction.com. And I'm told it's going to be some really good stuff that will go on the auction block. How off the text line 304-214-1600. Howard, as a non-Catholic, if I attend a Catholic Mass, I am not permitted to take communion. Okay. All right. I don't know enough about the Catholic doctrine behind it to know. In our church, our communion is open to all. There's a theological underpinning of that, but okay. So were I to go to Mass, Biffy, I couldn't take the communion? Is that, again, I'm asking you theological questions. I shouldn't do that, but this person says, as a non-Catholic, if I attend a Mass, I'm not permitted to take communion. So I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on religion. I'll get those notes about my imaginary friends, Biffy.
Just wait till Hoppy comes on, and I'm sure the bishop will be able to answer.
I'm really going to look forward to that. Bishop Brennan will be on with Hoppy Kercheval talking about this specific issue today on Statewide Talk Line. It is 9 before the hour right now. Do I need to do a break, Biffy?
No, we're good. We got everything in.
Oh, that's unusual. Oh, how about that? All right. I'm just going to throw this one out because sometimes you turn around and they tell you don't drink too much coffee, and sometimes they tell you to drink a lot of coffee, and sometimes they tell you that decaf is what's best. And then I think we had a report not too long ago that said actually caffeine was better than decaf. You just never know. I've got, I think this is decaf this morning. My wife made it. I think let's see if I can. Yeah, it's the hazelnut, so it's got to be decaf. And, it's good too. Wait a minute. Hold on. One more sip. Sometimes coffee is just really good, Biffy. This is one of those times. Anyway, a new study, it came out, and it says, and this might be helpful for someone like myself, drinking up to 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day reduces your risk of dying from liver disease. Well, isn't that interesting? You drink too much in your younger life and you get liver disease, And then you drink coffee in your older life, and maybe it'll keep you from dying of liver disease. One moment, please. I think I'll drink a little more of this coffee right now. Anyway, the study reported yesterday in a medical journal, BMC Public Health. I've never heard of that before, but I guess it's a legitimate journal. Drinking up to 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day reduces the risk of dying from chronic liver disease. So I like the sound of that. The effect was seen in drinkers of both caffeinated and decaffeinated coffee. The study followed nearly 500,000 participants for close to 12 years. So this is a large study over a big period of time. So it's one that actually probably has some value. Coffee drinkers were found to be 21% less likely to develop chronic liver disease and 49% less likely to die from chronic liver disease than from those who don't drink coffee. Hold on, another sip of coffee here. Holy mackerel. Honey, give me a straw. 49% decrease in dying of liver disease from drinking 3 to 4 cups of coffee a day. Yikes. I'm definitely in for that. So I'm going to have to up my intake of coffee, I guess. 304-214-1600, the text line, 304-214-1600. You are welcome to text me. Let's see. Howie, no communion for you, non-Catholic. Okay. Okay. I just don't know the theology of Catholic communion, so I shall learn. I will learn. And I'm intrigued to learn, so I will do that, again, with Bishop Brennan today on Statewide Talk Line. If you have something on your mind you want to talk about, things I've been discussing, you want to offer some thoughts on, 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600, or if you would prefer, you can always call 304-232-8255, and that is the CityNet hotline. Coming up next hour, we're going to talk to Hoppy Kercheval about the Joe Manchin and the For the People Act and all of those kind of things. And, you know, what's Manchin's end game really here? What's going to likely happen and so on. So we'll talk about that with Hoppy coming up next hour. Before I head to the news break, I want to remind you that as of today, today's Tuesday, right?
Yes, it is.
As of today, the Lunch with Books program at the Ohio County Public Library are back live. For the entire pandemic year, they have continued Lunch with Books. They've been very well, air quotes, attended, but they've been attended on the Facebook page or the YouTube page of the Ohio County Library. As of today, beginning with the program at noon today, which I will tell you about in a minute, Lunch with Books programs are going to be live at the library again. Now, they do want vaccinated patrons only in the auditorium of the library. But if you're vaccinated and you want to go to the Lunch with Books, and boy, I know a lot of folks who've been eagerly awaiting the return of this program, please feel free to go to the library. I'll tell you today's Lunch with Books program in a second. I do want to take note, however, library folks tell me that the People's University series, which is the one about bugs and people, and we talked to Sean Duffy about it a few weeks ago, the People's University series will still be a live stream only broadcast. But beginning today, Lunch with Books is back live. And today, the author Robert Yoakum will be speaking at Lunch with Books, a new political thriller of his called The Sacrifice of Lester Yates, about the Egypt Valley Strangler, one of the country's most prolific serial killers. So it is based in Egypt Valley, which is not far from here. It's an Ohio-based novel. So if you're interested in political thrillers that have some regional connection, check that out today. And for the first time in a long time, it is going to be a live edition of Lunch with Books. So that's, again, a lot of folks are very excited about that. It's a really, there's a little community that formed. I was at Lunch with Books on a number of occasions, several times as a speaker, a couple of times just there to watch things, and there's a little community that forms. People just love to get together and talk to each other and meet each other and so on. So Lunch with Books is back live as of today, but again, only for those who are vaccinated. So please feel free to drop by if you are vaccinated. I don't understand this. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The last text, Biffy. Could you read it? I can't read it. It's one of those ones not popping up. Do you think people?
Yeah, I can't read it either. I just got the preview of it.
And it'll probably pop up sometime in the next hour or so, and I'll share the text with you. Feel free to text me, 304-214-1600. Sometimes the full text doesn't show up for a while. Biff and I don't understand why.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get started on the one that we. No, I'm not. I'm not going to go there. You know my thoughts about this one.
How about if we just go to the ABC newsrooms? That makes sense to you?
Yeah, let's do that.
ABC News is next. It's 9 o'clock here on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
All right, let's get Hoppy on after the news, Biffy. I told him we were going to call sometime this morning. He said, okay, so now I think will be the time. And I'll go get more coffee. I'll be back.